You know, for a moment there, I don't know on everyone else's screen, but we were just sat here before that video played. So I didn't know if we were live or not. Like last week, I don't know if you watched the video. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Doomscroll. I'm Ali Milani.
Hello, I'm Hugh Smiley.
So I'll go back to what I was saying. We go off air and then we come back on screen. I don't know if you've seen it. I had to cut it out, but it was well awkward.
This is what for those people are here for. Real live, uncut.
And just awkwardness. For those of you just joining us, thank you for joining. This is our weekly live show, the Friday Doomscroll, where we go through the sort of week's political talking points. And every week, the fucking world's on fire. And last week, I thought we had a lot to talk about. And this week, everything's on fire. There's Middle Eastern peace negotiations. Donald Trump is tweeting all sorts of racist shit. And the government might collapse. And the Prime Minister might be gone. I'm coming, by the way, you're at home, right?
Yes, I am at my home.
So I am live from like a South Manchester hotel.
Say which one, Ali.
That's a good
Dox
question.
yourself. Don't say it. Don't actually say what it is.
Okay. But
Definitely
it's like a country hotel, basically. And there's like, it's like a country estate hotel because it was the cheapest one I found. And I'm very out of place. I walked into the pub earlier and I very much felt out of place.
Did you do any good, pub chat? Like, all right, mate, a pint of bitter, please, fella?
No, I didn't do my Alistair Miller alternative ego, like alternative persona, which
you do know football, so you could get by in most situations. I kind of have to just pretend.
You know what? Football is the get out, man. Football's the get out when you need to. Right. We're gonna do a new thing at the beginning of the show. We're calling it high-low Politico. So I want to hear what's your high, something you're like high on this week, something you're low on this week, and then Politico is like something that caught your eye, right? Something that you thought was interesting. I guess it can be about politics. Doesn't have to be though. It can be about anything. And then if you're in the comment, comment. By the way, last week, so I'm looking at my screen here rather than here, right? Does that look weird or is that all right?
No, that's very common for streams. People will often do that. They'll angle themselves like this. Right. So they're kind of talking to chat, and then you'll occasionally look at me, and then you look, I like it. I think it's very professional.
So last week I learned Mog and chat. This week,
Pog and Mog, two different things.
Which one's Pog?
Pog is the
yeah, that one, yeah.
And Mog is like when you got like a chiseled jawline, you're like, ooh, I'm mogging.
Oh, right. So I definitely don't have one. Right. High-low Politico. What's your what? Give me it.
Hi, nerd stuff. As you know about me, Ali, I run games of Dungeons and Dragons and also Call of Cthulhu, which is a horror role-playing game based off the works of H.P. Lovecraft. I am running a game on Sunday, which is called A Message of Art. It's a scenario that's set in 1890s France. So I've been having to practice a terrible French accent, and I'm very, very excited.
How much research do you have to do before you do that?
Oh, so it's a pre-written book. So really, I'm just like kind of learning like the NPCs and the story and how things should proceed. I like to add extra stuff, so I need to know like it's good to know some history, like what's happened at the time. It's in the Belle Epoque, I believe it's called, at the time of peace, like in between the two wars. So everyone's like high on life, living the dream. I also need to know some art stuff because 1890s France was sort of the launch of like surrealism and a pivot away from traditional realist art. There you go, nerd stuff.
And how that's not Dungeons and Dragons, that game.
No, it's a different role-playing game. So it's the same kind of thing. You roll dice to determine what happens, but rather than being like a fantasy world all about like combat and adventure, Call of Cthulhu is horror. It's more about like sanity and about like investigation and
right.
crazy stuff.
You need to invite me. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm nerdy enough where I can I can appreciate that. What are you low on?
Yeah. I am low on a friend of mine's been having a pretty rough week. He's just sort of I think he's lost his job or at least been denigrated a bit more. So it's pretty rough. So shout outs to my friend Peter. You'll get through this like you always have.
Peter.
It's always rough when you lose friends, especially in such tragic circumstances. I believe his house got raided by the police today. So shout outs. Stay safe.
Shout out, Peter. We it's rough. It's rough out there. Do you think people got that, or do we need to be explicit with it?
I wasn't sure if you got it or not. I was concerned you thought I was being real.
Yeah, no. It was only once Peter was introduced that I figured.
I realized I had to go a bit more heavy or heavy-handed.
Yeah. He's talking about Mandelson, obviously.
What?
Yeah, he got his house raided. That's crazy.
Yeah, literally, like I think an hour ago. Both houses.
I wonder how that goes. You don't get advance notice, do you? Because then you'll hide shit.
Yeah, I think it'd be a bit of a weird system if you got like a letter being like, "Hey, by the way, next week we're coming to."
Then do you have to stand in a corner while they look through your shit?
If you're there, I presume so. Or they might take you outside, probably.
Oh man, can you imagine? Don't touch my comics. We're scrapping. I'm going to prison. Right?
And that's just for the comics, not even all the other crimes you've committed, Ali.
Yeah. I was talking to my wife about this. I think if I was ever to start stripping, I would ask for comic books instead of money. Is that weird?
But like modern ones.
No. That much. Okay, so this is important for people to know about me. I collect comic books. Obviously, I'm a big comic book fan. If you follow me on Instagram, which you should go and do, it's in the description. You'll know that I post all I've got like my wife's given me a nice corner of the living room that I can use to like decorate. I've got statues. I'm a big DC fan. I don't actually enjoy Marvel all that much, which is people find strange. I'm a massive DC fan from a kid. Loves Superman. He's my guy. So I obviously read a lot of modern comics or newer. When we talk about modern comics, we're talking post 1987, right? They're all modern comics. But I also buy and collect vintage comics, like really, really old ones that you like literally can't take out the box. You get them graded, all that kind of stuff. Before we go into that, because that's part of my high this week. Politico, what's something that caught your eye this week?
Yeah, it sort of went under the radar because obviously everything was absolutely exploding and kicking off. But the Your Party choosing not to stand in Gorton and Denton, but then not endorsing the Green candidate, I think is an interesting glimpse into the future of that wing of left-wing politics, with their reasoning being we need like a principled socialist candidate, which I think is a little bit...
So they're running in elections right now, and you've got the sort of Zara Sultana lot, who are called Grassroots Left.
I don't know the name of it.
Something like that. And then you have the Many, which is Jeremy Corbyn's faction. I did really enjoy someone on Twitter said like this party doesn't even exist yet. How do you have factions already? Which I really
You've got to respect it. It's like it's a true speed run of just self implosion in a left wing way.
It's
and
really
I think it's what we're all about.
I was how much of this I can reveal I don't know, but I was in a meeting this week where there's a new campaign being launched, right? And I can't talk about what the campaign is. But I was asked about my advice about like some common stuff, some messaging, some names. And I just kept coming up with like names that included your and our and kept getting shot down. And it really pissed me off. I was like, away from all the political shit that you guys have done with the launch of this Your Party, you've now taken the words your and our out of our lexicon for like a whole fucking generation.
And we're the left. We're supposed to be all about pronouns.
Yeah.
We've been co-opted again.
Yeah.
Come on.
That was really funny though. You mentioned it briefly. Like, so they stood down in Gorton and Denton. Then that grassroots lot put out a statement that essentially said we should have put up a candidate. I don't know if you saw that. And then Zara Sultana released a statement saying, "No, I'm glad we started." It was just all confusing.
Yeah, I saw.
Which is unlike Your Party because there's been such clarity so far.
They've had such good consistency of message. That something must be awry. I can't believe they're still going. I think I just kind of assumed that they'd like given up, But
factions within factions within factions. Lily 955.
Lily has put it perfectly. It's layers of factions, like a leftist lasagna.
Right. Should I do my high low? Buffalo.
Yeah, go on.
Buffalo is just house. So something I'm really high on. This is again nerd stuff. For the political stuff. For my birthday, my wife got me a Hawkman 4, which is a comic from the 71, I want to say. First appearance as Zatanna, which is very rare. I went to a comic book convention and tried to find it, and we went to there was like 50 stalls, and I went to every single one. I asked everyone, couldn't get my hand on it, which is huge now, and it's being sent off to CGC. Something I'm low on this week, just fucking politics, man. Like, there was a moment this week, right, where I was, like, listening and watching TV and listening to a debate within the Labour circles around, like, the Mandelson stuff. And I had this like outer body experience. I was like, we're talking about fucking pedophilia here.
Yeah.
Right?
In very
Not with
obvious
Mandelson,
fashion.
with Epstein, obviously. I should say that
Yeah,
before.
specifically with Epstein. It is. I think it is important to keep in mind as like, you know, we'll talk about it later, but the corruption is obviously a huge aspect of the story. And then just sort of in the background, we just have these horrible videos of like Epstein chasing around very short figures that have been blanked out, and you just think, yeah, wow, that is a thing, and that is deeply upsetting.
And something that caught my eye again in the Epstein files. There's like, so me and you spoke about this yesterday after the Politics Uncensored show on Fubo, which everybody should go and watch. Noam Chomsky being in the Epstein files really caught me off guard.
Noam's in there. Him, Steve Bannon, a bunch of like kind of politically people. I don't know a lot about Noam Chomsky outside of I've read a few of his books. I don't know if he was personally a chill guy. Probably not. But also, obviously, at this point, we should probably say that being in the files is not evidence of any necessary wrongdoing.
No, but I think the emails that I saw of Noam Chomsky was him advising Epstein on PR stuff.
On what?
On like negative media press he was getting. I think.
Oh, no.
Everyone should go and look at that. So it didn't look good for all Noam. But I don't know. The problem with doing a live show, Hugh, is I'm just always about to say shit that's going to get me.
Yeah, we're always right on the edge.
I'm just thinking, if you're Noam, what is he, 92?
Oh God, must be.
Do you even bother responding at this point?
No, I mean he's just wasting away.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to story number 1. Look at that banner.
Oh my God!
Is Kier Starmer set to resign? So, for those of you who've lived under a rock this week, Peter Mandelson, who was the UK's ambassador to the United States controversially, and then was sacked by Kier Starmer in September, has been linked to more of the Epstein files, pictures of him released in his underwear, email exchanges, which are really embarrassing. And then critically this week, the allegations are that he sent confidential information from his time in government to Epstein. And this is threatening to bring the entire Keir Starmer premiership down, largely because at the time that he was appointed, it was controversial. There's questions about how much Keir Starmer knew. Was he lied to, and the implications of all of this? Obviously, the Epstein files more broadly include people like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and others have been in there, which we'll talk about later. But so the question has been, what did Keir Starmer know? How much did he know? Now, here's the part that I have trouble with, Hugh. Keir Starmer, in his press conference, said that he lied to me, he betrayed the government, he betrayed our trust, right? I didn't know the extent of this. But in 2023, the Financial Times released an article which revealed that Peter Mandelson had stayed in Epstein's townhouse in 2009 while Epstein was in prison for soliciting a minor, I think. And then Keir Starmer was asked about that and Mandelson's relationship with Epstein in a press conference in 2024, way before he was appointed I've just got
ambassador to the US.
Ambassador to the US, yeah. So that's bullshit. Right? I mean, there's no way you didn't know. Now, I can believe that you didn't know the extent of the relationship, but it's just bullshit to say you didn't know. Like his argument was, which we'll watch the video in a second, that that Mandelson kind of described his relationship as a passing relationship with Epstein, and they barely knew each other. I don't know about you. I've never stayed in someone's townhouse while they're in prison, having a passing relationship with anyone, right? Which we all knew in 2023 because it was in the FT article. What do you think?
I mean, obviously it was such a passing relationship that he didn't know he was in prison, which just makes
that.
There we go. Bit of comms. No, I mean that's the thing about this. It's so obviously blatant, and I think that for a leader who attempts to style himself on, pragmatic technocracy, is that the word? Technocratic.
Yeah, technocratic. Yeah,
he's a technocrat. Of like, we're competent, we hire the best people for the job, and through all of this, we see this man who everyone knew was a bit of a wrongin', having had to resign for disgrace twice before for different non-related reasons.
His nickname was the Dark Lord.
Yeah, but like in a cool way.
Oh, right, okay.
Not in like a leaking government information, allegedly, way. We should just have that word allegedly on the bottom of the banner to save us time. It is, I think what has been so horrifying about it is that it is so obvious that everyone knew, at least. Thank you. I'm just gonna point here occasionally.
Do you know what? I'm gonna save this on the whole thing.
Yeah,
because we should just have this, and then I'll just pop it up when it's necessary.
Peter Mandelson leaked important information. There we go. Yeah, see? Yeah, easy peasy. No, but it is a true sort of moral rot in the way that I think in for what you can say about, you know, Labour taking over from the previous Tories, I was very skeptical as someone who did campaign for Labour at the time that the party would be any good at all. But as I always said with my colleagues that I worked with, and people said to me, you know, the worst Labour government is better than the best Tory government. And one of the main various things about that is like, well, hey, there'll be less like horrible scandals, things like Chris Pincher, all these horrible people. And here we are again with possibly something even significantly worse than we've seen in, you know, at least in my political lifetime. It is, you know, if he stays on after this.
This has been described as the worst political scandal since the expenses scandal.
Oh, expenses scandal. Oh, yeah. And even then, like the expenses scandal, you know, it's just standard corruption.
I mean, we kind of joke about the politics of it, but this is fucking rough. We're talking about like sexual assault, rape, trafficking of minors, right? So it doesn't get more and then horrific.
Yeah, and on the political side of it, you know, you look at these conversations, and it is, you know, stuff that a conspiracy theorist would, you know, struggle to dream of existing. We have someone working in a government at the time leaking information to the world's most famous pedophile, who is then speaking to leaders of banks trying to change government policy in favor of them. It is the most blatant and outright form of corruption ever. And it is a miracle.
And Kier Starmer made it his thing. Like integrity in office was a big thing.
Well, exactly, right? That was a big part of the change. It was like politics is going to become boring again, basically. There's not going to be constant, you know, scandals and personal chaos and horrible things. But, you know, by appointing someone who, at the very least, everyone knew was not a very nice person at all, who then immediately didn't work out in Washington because of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, into that role, it truly has brought to a forehead the lack of any sort of moral core in this government.
Yeah. Should we watch his press conference? Because I've got it here.
Go on.
Miserably, and there is no one to blame but yourself. If your MPs were to decide that they wanted another leader, and if somebody else put themselves forward as leader, would you fight that?
Well, Robert, I was elected on a mandate in 2024 to change the country for the better, and that is what we're doing.
The other thing about that election, by the way, I'll point out. So integrity was a big part, but also they made violence against women and girls a big part of that campaign.
Yeah, huge.
Right.
It was one of the I would say strong parts of their policy platform, right? And then Alva Ray made a really good point on this. I think it was Alva on I think it was Newsnight, talking about, you know, Westminster has an inherent rot of allowing creepy, you know, abusive, bad men to stay around.
Me and Zoe spoke about this yesterday, didn't we? Like it's such a like open secret in Westminster. MPs constantly. A lot of questions about his future.
On the economy, with inflation coming down, and the Bank of England says coming down to target in the first half of this year, with interest rates being cut now 6 times, which is the highest rate of reduction since the 2008 crash. With the work we've done to lift 500,000 children out of poverty, that is the change and the Pride in Place work that we're doing, examples of which I've just gone through. That is what we were elected to do.
So I think he's going to get asked about his position, which seems to be the main question now as to whether he can survive.
Is not on that and on other things because of the misbehaviour and deceit of other people. Of course I am. But of course I am. I understand that. But I was lied to. Deceit. Now, Am I frustrated and angry that the good work we're doing gets out of focus because of that, and that tomorrow's front pages are unlikely to be about the Pride in Place project? Of course I am. Of course I'm angry and frustrated about that. But that is the work, that is the change that will affect millions of lives, and I will remain focused on it.
Could I just clarify on the basis of what you said today and what you said yesterday? What was your understanding of what the relationship between Mandelson and Epstein was? I mean, were you under the impression then that he had completely
this will be
broken
really
off
important,
contacts, friendship at the point of conviction? And at the point, you knew that there had been a relationship in the past. You knew that this was potentially a very dangerous situation that could come back to haunt you. Did you, as it were, make a deal with the devil that you knew that this could be damaging, but at the same time, Donald Trump is equally sort of impacted by this?
No, the questions were precisely to get to that question of what was the nature and extent of the relationship, and then details about places he may have stayed. And the picture painted...
So I think that bit's really key about the places that he would have stayed, because that's what was in the FD article, right?
Yeah, and that was already known and was very public.
Yeah. So the big question now is about whether he should go. So I just want to show you this. So basically, the big discussion is whether Kier Starmer should resign. And this is a YouGov poll that I found that was done yesterday about whether Kier Starmer should remain as Labour leader and Prime Minister. Half the country think he should go, 24% think he should remain, and 26% don't know.
I think it's, I mean, gosh, it's basically a 50-50.
But you can see the breakdown here of like Labour voters, Conservative voters, Liberals,
for sure.
that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I think what's interesting in the situation, because I think we can think back to the Chris Pincher affair, where it took a high-ranking cabinet member to resign to sort of trigger a mass rebellion, right? With Rishi Sunak leaving from Boris Johnson's cabinet at that time, and we just haven't seen that. Overall, the project with which we know that Peter Mandelson was somewhat involved to create a PLP that is loyal and a cabinet that is ruthlessly loyal, and was rejigged reportedly with the help of Mandelson to ensure such loyalty, has maintained so far. And I think unless there is a sort of big step away, they will keep limping along over the line of May. What do you think, Ali?
And I think that's the great hypocrisy of it, is that we knew in 2023 that Peter Mandelson had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. In 2024, the Prime Minister knew. We knew the extent of that relationship, that the FT reported that he stayed in his townhouse after he'd been in prison for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Yet he was deemed worthy enough and high quality enough to be hold probably the highest diplomatic post in government, but individual activists, members, councillors were blocked from standing for liking tweets by Nicola Sturgeon saying she hadn't died as a result of COVID, for liking tweets of Jon Stewart's. For example, Faiza Shaheen was stood down as a candidate because of that. And Andy Burnham, former cabinet minister and mayor of Greater Manchester, which is where I'm coming from, was blocked from standing, not for various reasons, many of which were given publicly were lies. But Peter Mandelson was okay to be the highest diplomatic post. In fact, it's alleged, the stories out there was that he had a spreadsheet full of left-wing candidates to block. It's just the fucking hypocrisy of this. And what I don't understand is, what are Labour MPs waiting for? You're all going to lose your seats. Like, that's just what's going to happen. Like, unless you, I don't know, do you think the public looks at this, right, and it does anything but completely fucking destroy trust in politics?
I don't know. I think Luke Akehurst's, sort of Twitter beef with other MPs has earned him a lot of favorability in his.
That's exactly what Luke. Fucking just get off Twitter, man. Like, it's so bad.
Chill out, man. Come on.
So bad.
Do your job.
And by the way, people like Luke have one line. It's like, those toys you used to get where you pull the string out the back and they think they could just shout Corbyn at things and their problems go away.
Do you remember that guy?
Yeah, anyone who's spoken out against Keir, they've come out and been like, Oh, it's the or Corbyn. Like this is a repeat of Corbyn.
It's just left-wing fanatics rather than people who despise corruption and being friends with a notorious nonce.
Yeah. Should we move on to the next story?
Yeah, go on.
More reform, more racism. Apparently.
What? No.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen, because obviously the Epstein stuff has been such a major story, but a school member or a school contemporary, they've called it, of Farage, who accused him of verbal abuse as a teenager. This was a lot of the racism scandal. Has told the BBC that there are still urgent questions for the reform leader to answer, and said his response to the BBC documentary does not go nearly far enough. This is a documentary called Farage, Ready to Rule, I think, for the BBC. And Farage told Reform, Ready to Rule, which was a documentary, he has not once wondered if he had upset anyone with his behavior, but said if they genuinely were, then that's a pity and I'm sorry, but never, ever did I intend to hurt anyone. Peter Epstein, I apologize for butchering your name, a Jewish contemporary at Dulwich College, said the qualified sorry was a non-apology. Let's see if we can watch the thing, because I've got my I'll try to share my screen here and see
how exciting.
See if I can you see the screen or no?
I cannot.
All right, let's try this. Can you see the screen? Where's the screen gone? Here we go. Can we see the screen now? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go. We don't have the audio, though.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Only mildly.
We'll move on. So he basically the question is, so his answer is, if they genuinely were, then that's a pity and I'm sorry, but never ever did I intend to hurt anybody. But this question about racism and reform just keeps coming up.
Right? I mean, inevitably, right? I think what's been interesting about it is there hasn't really been this sort of dogged determination to get an answer from Farage. In a similar way where that, not to harken back to the previous topic, but Mandelson was able to go on lots of mainstream news sites for a long time.
Yeah.
Radio, TV, and not get asked about Epstein. And whenever it gets brought up to reform, they have the same answer. It's a sort of Trumpian style. They just go like, "Oh, that's boring," to make it a non-story, right? And I do really think that there needs to be some more, I don't know, determination or an instinct to go, okay, well, if you're not going to answer what is quite a basic question on quite a serious story, we're just not going to have you on. We're just not going to speak to you.
Do you think it has any impact on him? Because he gets called racist so often, and reform gets called racist so often. It just feels like it doesn't have the same.
I mean,
kind of like a Trumpian thing of like they're just like whatever.
Well, it is. It's that split between those people who believe that Nigel Farage is racist. Their minds aren't getting moved by learning that he's done more racist stuff because they go, well, that's more racism from the racist guy. That makes sense. I don't know if I have to say allegedly, but I'm going to say allegedly just in case. Whereas people who are reform supporters or are more inclined to support reform will go, oh, that's just because everyone always calls people racist nowadays. GB News reported that racism isn't real and everyone calls people racist whenever they want. That's not real. But they will.
I'll do it again.
Thank you. The term is thought terminating cliche. It's the idea, for those who don't know, is essentially training an audience to, when they hear a certain term or a phrase, to just dismiss it without any sort of analysis of it. So for a reform voter, they hear the term racist, they just go, oh, another woke left just calling me racist, without actually analyzing what was said and what was done. These happen on every political aisle, but it's a very powerful position to be in, especially as a right-wing person, to have terms like racist and fascist become thought-terminating cliche, because you can basically do whatever you want. And if someone makes a reasoned, evidence-based accusation along those lines, your average supporter will just dismiss it out of hand because they hear that word and think, oh, that's ridiculous.
I didn't know that there was a term for it. What was it? Thought terminating
cliche.
Oh, so then their brain just switches off.
Yeah, you hear the term and you go, oh, okay, not worth listening to. It's nonsense.
Yeah, it's like, I guess I have the same thing when they call people woke, right? I just go,
yeah, exactly, right? That would be an example on the other side, right? Someone goes, oh, this is woke nonsense in an unironic way. My brain and your brain would go, oh, this person's not being serious, right? Whether or not that's reasonable or not is a different matter, but it would be considered a forthcoming cliche in that we hear it and we go, our brains turn off. We stop analyzing what's happening. I know for me, what I would also ascribe this to is Lee Anderson does this a lot. The appeal to common sense as a means to make arguments, to say, oh, it's common sense that this is like this, which is to say, don't analyze what you're talking about because this is a commonly held belief, or at least I'm trying to argue that it is, and therefore it's not worth discussing or analyzing. Another way to get your audience to not engage with what you're saying and just believe you out of vibes.
That's really good analysis, by the way, because I think that is what they want to present. I feel like basically that it doesn't matter all these accusations that come to us. This is just what the left throws, but also that people like Lee Anderson are just saying the common sense things that are in the minds of most ordinary British people, let's say down at the pub, which is how Lee wants to present himself, but then just says things that no one's thinking, right? Yeah. And presents them as if...
To describe something as common sense is to describe it as being not worth analyzing or considering. It's a means of attempted protection, right? So they talk about like, oh, it's common sense that immigration's bad, or that, we want to have really harsh borders. So that when someone says to them, I think that this border control is bad, you go, well, it's common sense. Why are you claiming that? You're being ridiculous. It's all along the same lines of trying to disengage your electorate from individually analyzing issues. It's part of the reason why generally when we're with left-wing movements, for example, individual policies will poll really, really well, but when in a collective, they won't, because the individual actions are considered favorable and interesting, but the package or the presentation of which is denigrated and undervalued.
Right, got you. So you don't think this will ever really electorally hurt them?
It electorally hurts them in the way that it inherently does, which is that there is a portion of people who will never vote for Nigel Farage, myself included, who could never be convinced in anything in any way. If he... for reform,
let's talk about that middle, right? So let's say, and I don't like splitting the electorate like that's because I don't think it's true. But let's say he's polling at what 25%, let's say, of people who don't give a fuck about being called racist, right? Yeah. I don't think that's the number, but that's the poll. That's how much they're polling, right? So the term racism will never. Then there is, let's say, if you combine Labour and the Greens, there's 30-something% of the electorate who are never going to vote for Farage no matter what. That middle section, right, the don't knows, the liberals, do you think that they would change how they vote based on racism accusations alone?
I think very possibly, but in the way that sort of we're very we're very visual as human beings, right? It's very easy to ignore something when it's when he was at school X number of years ago, he allegedly did this. Then we just go, well, we don't see it. I think it would take a video or audio or something that you can grab onto. You know this in the communications world. A scandalous story about someone is a scandalous story, but it takes that image or that video or that piece of audio, actual evidence that can get shared around and people can see and go, oh, okay, Nigel Farage did do X thing, as opposed to a while ago he did, right? And I think that to convince the average person, it would need to be, here's a photo of him doing that Roman salute.
yeah. Right, we got two things in the chat that I want to bring up. They're about the two topics we've spoken about first. The first one is so Lily again, who mentioned earlier, Chomp. Do you think that Chomsky was on purpose? First of all,
it would be very funny.
Yeah. So the Guardian reports in late 2019, Epstein represented to an associate that he had gotten advice from Chomsky, this time correctly spelled, over how to navigate the horrible way you are being treated in the press. So that's what we spoke about earlier. I'm going to take that Chomsky as having been done on purpose. And then Spacey here has asked, does the Mandelson scandal and Labour MPs' non-response effectively hand the next election to reform? Do you think this has an electoral impact? Look, my view is, Gorton and Denton, I thought Labour had a chance to hold, actually, was the noises I was hearing. Definitely not now, I'm not sure. I think, because what this does, beyond the actual reforms, the actual Epstein story, it's about trust in politics, right? And whether Kier Starmer's thing of I was lied to, anyone believes, which I would suggest no doubt he was lied to, but not knowing the extent of the relationship with Mandelson and Epstein, it's unbelievable to me, right? And it feels like a scandal beyond him. Do Reform benefit from that? Well, kind of, but Reform have been silent on this whole thing, which is, again, ironic because they presented themselves, certainly at their conference, as the champion of women and violence against women and girls.
Yeah.
They were, talking very loudly about the grooming gang scandal that people should be talking about, but almost silent on the Epstein stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? It's a bit of a trend of the whole of the hard right. Alex Jones, for the first time in his life, can't talk about a billionaire cabal of nonsense taking over the world because it doesn't fit into their narrative, right? They want to portray the fact that, not the facts, right? They want to portray the idea that it's people coming into this country, people who aren't white primarily, who are abusing people and are doing this. When in reality, it's probably people they're friends with or that they would be friends with in a hypothetical situation. It's money, it's power, and it is black corruption. And also, it's very difficult to talk about the Epstein files in any way without talking about Donald Trump and his involvement and alleged relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
The other people that were in the files, according to The Guardian, Norway's Crown Prince, Deepak Chopra, the former Israeli PM, Ehud Baruch, is mentioned repeatedly in the files. There's like billionaire CEOs, obviously Andrew Mountbatten, Woody Allen's Downing Street invitation, Bannon, obviously we've spoken about
Bannon's in
already. Steve Bannon.
And once again, to say, as we said before, obviously being in the files isn't any evidence of wrongdoing. It's important to stress that. However, you were around.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to be in it, right?
Yeah. Have you checked if you're in it?
You know what? I haven't Control F'd my name.
I am not in. Happy to say.
Just in response to Spacey's comment, I actually think, I don't know if it helps reform, but I definitely think it's destroying public trust in politics. And, sort of from Boris Johnson now to Kier Starmer, I would love to see a poll on trust in politicians and politics because I just it's got to be.
I always hated the sort of the line you'd hear from people being like, "Oh, they're all as bad as each other. They're all the same." Especially during the Tory era, because you were like, "Well, the Tories are like doing stuff. We're just like around." And now I'm kind of like, "Oh, it's a good point. It's kind of bad."
Yeah, it's harder to deny. Right, last story. We've got a little bit over here, so we'll try and do this one quite quickly.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not been to Parliament, it's a fucking mess. The refurbishment of the Houses of Parliament could cost an almost £40 billion and take 61 years under the proposals presented to MPs and peers. It's one option presented by the team working on long-delayed restoration of the historic building, which is falling apart and costs £1.5 million a week to maintain. The team has also suggested MPs and peers move out of the Palace of Westminster for 24 years from 2032 under the refurbishment plan. And it could cost as much as £15.6 billion. Now, obviously, anyone who's not been inside Parliament, I showed Jamal Bowman, who is a former congressman, around, and he loved the history of it. But like compared, and I recently came from the House in America, the House of Congress, and it's so much the infrastructure of facilities in the UK. It just doesn't even compare. How old the building is, it's falling apart. I enjoyed one thing I want to show you. I don't know if you've seen it. Here. Let's do this. Did you watch this video with Kemi Badenoch?
No.
Right. So Kemi Badenoch did this interview with Peston, right? And astute, what is that called? Are they called astute-eyed or like keen-eyed viewers?
Astute.
Astute. English isn't my first language. Relax. They spotted something in the background. Watch this. It's really funny. And it goes to the point about how old Parliament is, because this is obviously filmed in Parliament.
At 12 p.m. today, the Prime Minister was saying he wasn't sending anything to the committee. He'd done nothing wrong. At 12 p.m. today, the Prime Minister was saying he wasn't sending anything to
the Did you catch it?
Yeah. I used to work in Parliament. I used to be a communications officer for a Labour MP. Oh, I saw some stuff.
Yeah, I think these are what like the pipes look like inside Parliament.
Oh no.
So for those of us, I've never worked in Parliament, but I spent a lot of time there. For people watching, because most of them will only have seen the outside, how much of a state is it in there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so even the thing about that blows people's minds, I used to give tours to people as well, is like you'd expect the old parts to be pretty bad. I mean, there's like
the new
Legionnaire's disease in the water. There's been like electrical fires due to faulty wiring. It's all very, it's surprisingly common. But Portcullis House, which is like the modern building with like a really big glass ceiling, you know, it is actually quite nice. It gets freezing cold. I was sat there doing a phone call once, you know, like someone doing their job, and I just started feeling a bit wet, and I was like, oh, someone spilled something on me, and I saw that it was raining through the ceiling. The glass, it doesn't work. It's not an actual roof. There's just holes in it. And then there was a day while I was there where literally a whole pane shattered and crashed down, and loads of water spilled on someone. Like, and that's the modern building. That's meant to be like the nice one. I don't know.
Obviously, raining inside for us Old Trafford season ticket holders would just say it adds ambience and risk.
Yeah. It's part of the experience. But no, I mean, it is like it's been well known for a while that it is not, you know, a suitable building to be able to work in. So many offices crumbling and falling apart. You know, I think that it's, you know, while I was there was talks of, all right, when are we going to get moved out? Are we going to get put into this like temporary space?
Yeah. Now, so here's two questions I have for you. Do you think voters would care about spending tens of billions of pounds refurbishing the House of Parliament? Because I actually don't think they will. Because I think it's such an institutional part of the like it's
It depends if it's used by anyone. If a party decides to try and really push the line, these guys are just trying to like get themselves a nice new fancy schmancy, you know, office chairs and blah, blah, blah. They're like living off the high life while you guys have nothing. I think that would have some cut through. And I think even in the inherent, like, you know, I do believe that it has to happen, but I also do think there's a lot of hypocrisy in the, you know, the sort of lie that all major British political, the majority of the major British political parties have bought themselves into, which is the idea of like, you know, the what are they called, the fiscal rules, and you know, like, we got to tighten our belts, austerity, blah blah blah, to then go, also though, this building's gonna look real nice.
It isn't, but I guess the longer you put it off as well, the worse it's gonna get.
Well, that's the thing. It should have happened years ago, and it's only getting more and more expensive.
Last question. I want 30 seconds on this because I don't. There's been a lot of talk about moving it out of London. And whether there's like a symbolic power as to whether the Parliament shouldn't be in London because of how London-centric everything is, and whether Parliament should be in where I am right now, Manchester or Leeds, or no one wants it in Bradford, Birmingham. No one wants it in Birmingham.
Glasgow,
Leicester, Glasgow, the nations. You know, Cardiff.
Scotland.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it makes sense that it's in London because obviously it's in London. It is the capital city. I do get the point
in the world.
It's like, yeah, it does make sense that it's like, you know, I understand the point of it's too London centric, but
how about this? How about this as an idea? Yeah. Everything should be in London, so fuck that idea. But while they're fixing it, right? Parliament on tour, move around.
Yeah, I like it. Like in concert halls. Like the World Cup, you got different places.
Yeah, we could bid for it.
It'd be great.
Bid for it not to come to your city. Which
it'd be really fun to have, like, I don't know, what's like the most rural place that you could have a parliament sitting.
Right, we're running short on time, Hugh.
All right.
This week, every week we end the show with playing a game, right? So this week we're gonna play Would You Rather.
Hell yeah.
So I'm gonna do it this week, and I suggest we play this again next week.
Yeah.
But you prep the Would You Rather.
I can get some pretty wacky stuff.
Yeah, mine aren't crazy. Right.
Well,
but what I'm going to present you with, anyone who's not played Would You Rather when they were 13, trying to discern whether someone likes them or not, I present two options. You pick between them, basically.
Is this your way once again, like last week? Are you just trying to figure out a way to sense if I'm into you or not, Ali?
The only reason this show exists, Hugh, is basically to spend some time together on a Friday night.
And I love it. It's very nice.
Right. I'm going to throw some things at you. We'll talk about them if you want.
Hell yeah.
Some of them are easy. Some of them are harder. So start off really easy. Would you rather have a campaign slogan written by a fifth grader or a year 5 student, or by a conspiracy theorist? So would you rather your campaign slogan was written by a 5th grader or by a conspiracy theorist?
I really
now,
like
obviously,
that.
A 5th grader could write something really like makes no sense.
Yeah.
Or a conspiracy theorist might say, like, the Earth is flat.
Yeah. It really depends on what conspiracies they have, because like
there's no way of knowing. It's random.
You could get really lucky with the conspiracy one and then get like a weird kind of like inequality thing of like, we're controlled by billionaires. But I think the realm of risk is just so extreme.
So high. It's too hard.
Whereas a 5-year-old, I think most political slogans are very simplistic. It's just like change or like, I don't know, it's the economy stupid. A 5-year-old, if you taught the 5-year-old that word.
Well, 5th grader, so year 5.
Oh,
how
so
old are you?
Don't say grade. What country are we in, Ali?
Yeah, you can clearly see I took these off of an internet, like an American
Wow.
website. Oh, year 5. How old are you? Year 5, like 11, 10?
No, in 5th grade you're year 6.
So
you're not 11.
right?
You're like year 9. You're like 13, 12, 13.
Oh, so you're even younger, right?
Yeah.
So you're going with year 5.
Yes.
Right. Next one's really interesting. You're running an election, right? Would you rather have your election debate moderated by your mum or your ex?
I mean, pretty obviously my mum.
Do you think?
She'd be quite biased towards me. And I think she'd do quite a good job, actually. Shouts out, Vonnie.
My mum would definitely go ex.
Really?
Yeah. Would you rather have a friendly media cycle, but a hostile? Oh, sorry, not cycle. Would you rather have a friendly media but a hostile parliament, or a hostile media but a friendly parliament?
Ooh, that's quite a fun one. I think the former. I'd much rather have a nice media and a hostile parliament, but
then you can't pass legislation.
Yeah,
well, I mean, you could. It's harder. It's
harder to do and would require more work. However, like ultimately, if you're as a politician, you'll get. There's no more better way to convince the parliament to do what you want than if you're very, very popular.
Yeah.
And then you can go, oh, I wasn't able to do this because, the Tories or Reform did that.
Yeah.
And if you can win the public argument, I think you will inevitably win the parliament one.
Let's move on to the next one. Would you rather have every meeting you've been in leaked or every text message you've ever sent leaked?
Oh, meeting.
Yeah. Oh, fuck me. There's some stuff in that text
message.
Yeah, obviously.
Every text message you've ever sent, Ali.
I've been in prison.
I'm sure you've been in some wacky meetings. I've not been in that many.
No, but the thing is, I also say nuts things in meetings.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I presented I wish I could say it, but I presented the craziest political plan, idea.
Yeah.
The other day in a meeting.
Yeah.
That I can't say, but if it happens, we'll save this, and let me use the terms. Okay, I'm going to say a couple of things just because I want to save it in case.
All right.
27th or 28th of February press conference. I'll just leave it there.
Ooh,
and we'll see what happens.
A bit of teasing.
All right. Would you rather fix the housing crisis or introduce free universal bus and train travel?
Housing crisis.
Yep. Would you rather a rival leaked your YouTube watch history or your Deliveroo order history?
Leak my YouTube watch history or my Deliveroo order history? Probably my Deliveroo order history. My YouTube watch history is not very exciting, but it's just like a lot. YouTube's primarily what I watch, and I watch a lot of very long videos. So I think people would be a bit like, "Do you do anything?" Whereas my Deliveroo history, it's just an occasional great kebab.
Really? Oh, your Deliveroo history.
Yeah, my Deliveroo history.
Yeah,
just a bloody good kebab.
I'd be worried about my Deliveroo history.
Do you use it a lot? Wow.
But also,
you should be disappointed. We'll get you on privacy settings on Fubar Radio. Then we can have a little look.
If my wife is watching, just switch off now. You don't need to watch the rest of the show. So when my wife's not in the UK or like when I'm at home alone, like I won't even go to the corner shop. I'll just order on Deliveroo. Like
from the corner shop.
Yeah.
That's deeply embarrassing. Yeah. Can you cook, Ali? I'm
a great cook.
You just don't like to cook for yourself because you.
No, I cook all the time. I just order the ingredients in.
Oh, I still think that's sad.
I cook quite a lot. Yeah. Right. A couple more.
Yeah, go on.
Would you rather be a kingmaker behind the scenes or the face of the party?
Oh,
so would you rather be like the sort of the front-facing man? Would you rather be Kier Starmer or Morgan McSweeney?
Yeah. See, I don't know. There's very pros and cons either way. I am not a very subtle person in general. And when I was a communications officer, I think part of my style was to be very unsubtle because it's not something I'm very good at. So I don't know how good I'd be as a behind-the-scene kingmaker. But you also get to have the chill, relaxed time. But ultimately, I'm made for the starlight. This bald head was meant to be shined by many, many camera lights. I will be the leader of the party, please. Thank you very much.
Would you rather 12 hours of door knocking in the rain or 12 hours of networking at a conference?
Oh, someone who's done both. networking at a conference.
Really?
Yeah, that's very
That
elitist
surprises
to me.
me.
But, and door knocking is great. I find it stressful, and outside in the rain. Whereas at a conference, I mean, you don't drink, but they'll have alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
And I can just kind of skip time for a while.
I just strangely enjoy door knocking.
I think it can be fun. I have bad memories of the general election. Very quick anecdote. Very first door I knocked at the general election. It's all kicking off. It was a little bit of a surprise. We're getting ready. First door. Boom, boom, boom. Hi, my name's Hugh. I'm from the Labour Party. Is there anything you want to talk about today? And the guy went, no, I said, do you have anything that you're like concerned about at the moment? And he went, you Les, fuck off, and slammed the door in my face. And I was like, it's gonna be a good time.
I'll add my anecdote. And this will be, I'll cut the last one I was going to ask you because it's, would you rather your DMs leaked or your group chat leaked? And that's the same question as I asked.
That's exactly. That's also the same question in general.
Yeah. I once knocked on a door, waited a couple of minutes, didn't think someone was coming to the door. As I walked away, they opened the door, and it was a lady who'd just come out the shower, head to toe naked, opened the door, and starts effing and blinding at me, being like, what do you want? I was in the shower. Like, why are you guys knocking on our doors? That sort of stuff. To which I replied, you didn't have to open the door.
How aggressively were you knocking? How do you knock when you go up to a door right now?
Okay.
Show me. How do you knock a door?
No, there
when
are some
you're
rules
canvassing?
to door knocking. If you're watching, there are very few people in this country I think have actually door knocked more than me, right? Other than time wise, like if you're like, 60, right? So 3 knocks, right? No more, and then 2 steps back for a couple of reasons. 1, you don't want to be too close to the door. 2, intimidating. 2, windows. They might look out the window, right?
Yeah.
So that you want them to be able to see you. Whereas if you're too close to the door, they can't see you. And sometimes they have a conversation through the thing. 3, if they're naked and they open the door, you want some distance. I'll add a 4th one. I once had a shoe thrown at me. Gives you more time to run away.
Yeah. I mean, I started canvassing during sort of the peak of the Ring doorbell epidemic. You ever tried to convince someone to vote for your local Labour Party via a Ring doorbell?
No, but I tell you, the Ring doorbell has
nightmare.
changed the game because they can also spot you.
Yeah.
And record you as you go past.
Well, exactly. That's the main thing when we're sort of training people to canvass. It's like, people, you always say like, oh, you got to be really careful what you say, blah, blah, blah. More so than ever, because all it takes, like, people's Ring doorbells can pick you up when you're at the next house.
Yeah,
you say something a bit dodgy, you're on GB News, baby.
Yeah. Like, I've said, like, you walk away with someone being like, okay, now, what was that, right? Yeah. But I used to go inside, like, which you're not supposed to do, right? So I'll put that.
Yeah,
I used to get in trouble from my campaign manager all the time because people would invite me in and I'd be, like, everyone's canvassing and I've been gone for an hour because I've had tears.
Yeah. A classic. I once, I won't say who, was canvassing with an MP, and I called someone who we were with, sort of the organizer, because I needed to chat to the MP about something. And I called them and I went, hey, where's the MP? And they were like, oh, they're gone. I was like, what do you mean they're gone? And they're like, they're chasing a fly tipper down the road. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, they're running behind them, chasing. I've lost them. And I went, how do you lose a fucking MP? It's your one job to make sure they know where they are.
It's a problem. Right. We're going to call it 53 minutes. Done pretty well. I want to hear one thing from you, Luke. Hugh, before we go. Who's Luke? Will Keir Starmer be Prime Minister by the time this show goes live next week?
Oh, I think so. I think he'll still be PM. But I think it's a toss-up whether he makes it to May. It's inevitable he will be gone after May. When's Gordon Denton, actually? Is Gordon Denton... It's not next week, is it?
26th of February.
The 26th of February. Okay, I think my bet is after Gordon and Denton that he'll be gone. What about you?
I think he'll be Prime Minister by this time next week. I think he won't be Prime Minister when the reports are that all the ministers have had to publish their communications with Mandelson.
Yes, I did see. That's one of the things we didn't talk about, which is so like as soon as you see in politics they have to publish like WhatsApps and emails.
Yeah, they're fucked.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of stuff.
Yeah. You're fucked.
Yeah.
As soon as you publish WhatsApp, you're fucked.
Oh,
that was true of COVID, and that'll be true of that.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. We're live pretty much every Friday. We'll miss an occasional Friday, but we'll be live most Fridays. We may decide to bring some people on in the future, but I'm enjoying just chatting to Hugh or Luke, depending on what you think. Luke, thank you for joining us. Where can they find you?
Hi, you can find me at Dutiful Future on YouTube for my wonderful YouTube videos. You can see me at Hugh Smiley on social media sites. And of course, go to Free Bar Radio. Check out Politics Uncensored, which I produce, hosted by the wonderful Ali Milani. And Privacy Settings, which is the comedy show that I make as well, which is very, very fun.
All right, folks. See you next week for another episode of the Friday Doomscroll. See you in a bit.
Bye, everyone.